what's up you guys, this is Rob from the Gay Guy Plays, and today it's time to jump into the void with a little endgame action when we get dressed to kill with the new Ki'Teer palette. Now it's been a damn long time since I've done a palette review, however in my defense, it has been quite a while since one has been released, and to be honest with you, I didn't expect to get one dropped on us today. In fact, I recorded part 1 of a palette discussion last night. How embarrassing. Regardless, the show must go on, and we gotta get dressed for it. Now unlike most, you can only pick up the Ki'Teer palette whenever it becomes available in Baro's rotating stock, where you can purchase it for 150 ducats and 300,000 credits. This palette features gradients of 6 distinctive colors, most of which are teal based, and whilst almost all of the general colors can be found elsewhere, this does offer variants of each shade that can only be found here. So for those of you who are super finicky over getting the perfect teal, this palette is definitely for you. Now the first gradient that we've got is this fluorescent seafoam green. It's very in your face, and originally I wanted to name it something fancy like green with arrogance, but let's just call a duck and name it I'm Better Than You Green. I find this one a bit too intense to use on standard parts of the frame, however it makes for an amazing energy color. Or if you're feeling extra flashy, you can toss it in as an accent. The next gradient is this beautiful muted green based teal. Almost all of you know this is totally within my wheelhouse. At its lightest, it does gain a bit more of a blue tone, however the darker you go, the more yellow green it gets. I definitely love it as an accent shade, and it looks great as a vintage energy color. I wanted to call it something like sophistication, however I felt like I'm Still Better Than You teal was a better fit. The next gradient is a dusty emerald green, so I figured why not refer to this one as the Void Troll. At its brightest, it does come off a bit minty, however the shade deepens up quite nicely and is a fantastic accent tone. Now while you may be able to find dupes for the majority of this palette, this shade range is completely unique to the Ki'Teer palette. Next up is the only non-blue or green based color. To be honest with you, this one feels like it lies a little bit. While its darkest is a gorgeous milk chocolate, at its lightest it actually looks a bit orange when applied on the frame, even though in the actual palette it comes off far more brown. Both shades can be used as accents, and it does look fantastic on metallics if you're looking for a nice rusty tone. My name for this one is Here's Your Shit. Moving along, our next gradient moves back into the teal family, however this time it is far more blue based. At its lightest it is almost electric, and even its deepest shades are quite intense. This one is very comparable to the ice palette, however it does have a slightly bluer tone, and that's why I call this one Your Tears. Similar to our first shade, I reserved this one mainly for energy colors. Now our last shade is a muted teal. It's got a very similar tone to our second gradient, however this one is more saturated and gets a good bit lighter and darker than the former. This one has a fantastic tonal black. Aside from that, the rest of the shades give you a bit more punch that I'm Still Better Than You teal, so use it at your discretion. I've lovingly named this one Primed Streamline. And with that said, let's get dressed. So all in all, the Ki'Teer palette is pretty solid, but only if you like green, teal, or are a palette collector. While it may be dupable, it really fills out each of these shades and puts you on another level of customization. Now admittedly, I wouldn't rely on this to act as a standalone palette, as its shade range is quite limited and lacks a lot of neutrals. However, much like most standard Baro visits, just as long as you don't expect too much out of him, he does occasionally serve up something worth bringing into battle. Plus, this is the only way you're going to get your hands on Primed Streamline. So thank you all for watching this episode of Dressed to Kill. If you haven't already caught it, be sure to catch part 1 of my palette overviews, as well as my latest daily grind where we take a look at Warframe and discuss iteration versus overcomplication. Now don't forget to do all the things that I ask you to do at the end of every one of these, and as always, stay drop dead gorgeous.